guys! So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the time that I met Dan and Phil, and it didn't go so well. To preface this video, I just want to say that I'm not ungrateful for the opportunity to meet Dan and Phil. I completely understand that for a lot of people, it's their dream to meet Dan and Phil, and that it's very difficult or not a high possibility for people to meet them, and to be able to have that opportunity as frequently as I do being where I live. I understand that it's a great opportunity. I just fucked it up, essentially. Also though, I'm not going to be blaming other people. I'm going to be explaining the events, how they happened. I also do take full responsibility. I'm not just going to be like, it's everybody else's fault and not mine. Like, clearly I had my own problems with this, so I'm not going to just shove blame on other people. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and get into the actual story. Now, the story does have a bit of a prologue, so if you want to skip through the prologue, although I don't really recommend it because it's kind of important, you can go ahead and go to the time here that I will flash across the screen, and then you can just watch the horrible tragedy unfold. So, I have been watching Dan and Phil for years. I can't honestly tell you how long because it just always felt like they've always been in my subscription box. I started watching Dan first and then Phil. I just always loved watching their content, but I was only like a real casual fan. And it wasn't until 2015 that I actually became more of a invested, full fangirl because of the announcement of The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire American Book Tour. Alyssa and I's friend, mine and Alyssa's friend, Christy, told us about this and was like, hey, they're gonna be coming to LA. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, hello. Because we tried to meet them in 2013 at Vidcon, but that didn't pan out either. We just have such great luck, am I right? I was like, yes, this is so great. The only thing that was a problem though was that there was no set date. We only knew that it was going to be in November, and that was a very worrying time because that was also when Alyssa and I were gonna be going to the Supernatural convention in Pasadena. And we couldn't skip that. We paid an exorbitant amount of money to go and do all the photo ops and go see the panels and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like if the signing happened to be on a Saturday that we could just be like, well, let me just forget the hundreds of dollars that I spent for this convention and go get a book signed from Dan and Phil. And that was really concerning for me. In order to be properly prepared for this meeting though, I had a bit of a plan in mind. First of all, I wanted to know Dan and Phil more, so I started getting more invested into their fandom, which is how this whole problem started. And the other thing was that I wanted to give them something. I had the idea in my head to do a painting, to do a watercolor painting of half Dan, half Phil, split down the middle, and to give that to them. But at the time, I wasn't confident in my watercoloring abilities, so I didn't want to spend all this time and effort into a portrait and then have it just be shit, and then not be able to give it to them and have wasted all the time. So I kind of scrapped the idea later on. In the end of it all, I just decided to give them a letter, which the idea of that letter makes me want to cringe so bad because it's so stupid. And to top off the cringeworthiness, are you ready for this? I drew a dinosaur and a lion on it. I mean, at least thank God it wasn't a llama, but still, fuck. So this was my plan. I was gonna like hand them the letter, I was gonna hand them the letter while they're like signing the book, and then like we do a picture because they advertised this as a photo op, which we'll get to that in a second, but they advertised this thing as a photo op. And so I thought about, you know, standing with them, taking a picture, having the book signed, and handing them this letter and being like, you know, I love your videos and blah, 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 just giving them a whole little speech. But that plan essentially just gets ripped in half. Now, I will say I was stupid in that I didn't watch any of the vlogs that other people did for this event. I don't know why, because in that way I could have seen how it was gonna be, but I kind of went into it blind, and that was bad on my part. Anywho, November hits, we're going through the weeks, still haven't heard anything, and then PASCon happens. After PASCon, I think it was maybe the next day or the day after PASCon, that there was a tweet that went out that was like, hey, we're gonna be coming to LA, you know, come to the book signing, it's gonna be here. And we got the notification and we were just like, yes. It was on a Thursday, I believe. Alyssa, Christy, and I were like, yes, we're just gonna go. I don't care about class. Sorry, we were gonna go ahead and just leave really early in the morning and wait because it happened to be general admission. Alyssa, Christy, and I are not strangers to doing GA seating or waiting for things, but Dan had said in his live show that that wasn't the intent. They had planned for it to be I just spit. The plan was for it to be ticketed so that way people wouldn't have to get up or like stay out really late. There were people there when we got there that were like waiting from 10 o'clock the night before, and we didn't get there until like maybe I want to say 7 or 6:30 in the morning. So it was just like, whoa. Now this is where the actual story begins. So we get there, like I said, around 6:30, 7 in the morning, and then we wait, I think, until like 9. Then we were fed in and got the books. We were actually pretty decent length into the line, not in that we were really far back, but that we were actually pretty close, I think. I think we were like they like gave us letters instead of numbers. And so we got the book, and then we essentially just waited around for like the next couple hours until 6 o'clock came, and then people were like, hey, get back in your place in line and then we'll start feeding you in. We're starting to go into the line. Literally everybody there was 16 or younger aside from like parents. So Alyssa, Christy, and I felt so fucking old because at this time I was like 19 going on 20. Alyssa just turned 18, right? Yeah, because this was 2 years ago. And so we were all like it feels relatively older, and it feels like it is only 2 years, but it feels so much older. And if you are like 18, 19 and you see a bunch of 16, 13-year-olds, you understand what I'm talking about. We start to get fed in through the line. Language. This is when things start to go a little south because everyone's super excited. Everyone's super nervous. There's just a lot of very electric energy in the air. Normally, I'm actually pretty good about being calm and chill around people who have a certain following, whether that be a celebrity or like a YouTuber or whatever. I'm usually actually pretty chill, but for some reason I think the energy was maybe affecting me. Maybe it was the fact that like I had just recently become like a very invested fandom member, and it was kind of in that like honeymoon stage, you know what I mean? It was just really intense and it was getting me really nervous, and I was like, what is happening? Why am I so nervous? We're getting closer and closer and closer in line. Then I decide to take off my stuff. So basically I'm wearing like a jacket. I had my vlog camera, I had my purse, I had the book, and I had the letter, and then I also had my phone. So I had a lot of stuff. Like I said, photo op is important. Typically when talking about a photo op, a lot of people associate it with, you know, pictures like these where you're like posed and standing there taking the picture, which is what I spent the entire weekend before this doing. I spent, you know, a lot of money taking pictures with like Mark Shepard, Misha Collins, Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki. It was a lot. It was super fun, and that's what I had thought it was going to be, and that they were like standing and signing things. Again, I didn't watch the vlogs. I didn't watch anyone else's vlogs about it or them talking about it. I actually hadn't been to a signing before. I don't know why, like my brain just kind of forgot what a signing was. But as we're getting closer in line, I feel very nervous and anxious, and so I tell Alyssa and Christy, I was like, I don't want to be first. Can we like switch spots? And so they were like, yeah. And then for some reason, we didn't move, which I'm not like bitter about that to them. Like I could have easily just moved, like, so it's no one's fault in that situation aside from mine, because I could have just been like, okay, well, back of the line, here we go. So we didn't move, and so that made me first. So I had taken off all my stuff, I was ready to go, and I couldn't do anything. So I walk up, and then I see that they're sitting at a table, and I'm like, well, shit. And I'm just kind of like I don't know, I'm like not in my own headspace. I'm not like present. So fun. And so the woman who's like standing here, she says, oh, are you gonna use your phone? And I said, yes. My phone was on my purse. I was holding all of my shit. I couldn't really hand it to her, and she didn't take my phone. This is also important because now the photo opportunity ripped out. I bet she just didn't feel comfortable just like reaching into my purse or like reaching at my purse and taking my phone, but you know, I did say it was okay, so I don't really know what happened there. She also told me that I needed to stick the letter into the book itself and then hand it to them so that way everything moved faster. This also punctured a hole in my originally thought of plan because I wanted to hand them the letter, remember? When it came time to actually walk up to them, I have all of my shit in my hands. I walk up, and I just gotta say real quick, they're so beautiful. I was just like stunned. Like, yes, they're like beautiful on camera, but like even like good lighting or whatever can kind of like make your face look nicer than it is in person. They're was just so beautiful. Absolutely stunning creatures. I was a little bit thrown because they were just so fucking beautiful, and I was just like, la la la. They're like, hi, how are you? And I was like, good, how are you? And then I tried to make a joke. I made a joke that was like, oh, do you have carpal tunnel yet? And they were like, oh, haha, no, we'll let you know if we ever do. And I was like, haha, okay. After that, dead. Absolutely just rip. I don't say anything else because my letter, my other ticket to the rest of this conversation was ripped away from me, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say, and I was such an awkward, uncomfortable human being. And I get it that their whole branding is about being nerdy and being awkward and weird, but this was a second level of weird because I was like out of my own body. I wasn't even like in my present state of being. I was just a meat suit standing in front of these two beautiful human beings. And at one point, Dan was just trying to be like really kind and was trying to make, you know, the situation better and salvage it in any way possible. So he goes, oh, is this for us, with the letter? And granted, it did say to Dan and Phil on the front. So I think, like I said, I think that he was just trying to make me feel better and trying to get something out of this because it was like super awkward. And I was like, oh yeah, I meant to give that to you. And he was like, well, I really appreciate the artwork. You know, I think I said thanks. Honestly, at that point, I was completely gone. I don't remember how I left. I must have said thank you. I must have said bye. I don't really know, but I checked out. I was done. I ruined it. I ruined it, and I ruined it. The one solid opportunity that you get to meet Dan and Phil fucking destroyed. Like, I was just, oh. And then of course, after I leave the table, I'm out of my little dry spell and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't get a picture because remember, she didn't take my phone. I tell the security guard lady who, she's probably like 5 feet away from their table. 5 feet. And I tell her, oh, I didn't get a picture. Can I go back and get one? And she was like, no. So I was like, but they're literally like right there. Can I just go back? And so she was like, no, I'm sorry, but if you have an issue, maybe you should talk to the manager. Granted, I know that this woman is just doing her job. I know that the signing is moving very, very fast because we can't keep Dan and Phil there for like hours and hours and hours on end. I understand that. But the thing that was confusing to me was telling me to go talk to the manager when they're like right there. You know what I mean? Like, that made no sense to me because it would be one thing if the manager was there, but I would have literally had to leave this line, leave the entire section where Dan and Phil are meeting people, and to like go downstairs, ask where the manager was, talk to them, and then by the time all of that was done, other people would be in line, and at this time, Alyssa and Christy were getting their time to meet Dan and Phil. I figured as Alyssa and Christy were there, it wouldn't be so bad, but I'm also not a super confrontational person. I can get into confrontations when necessary, but because this was like a public event, because I just didn't want to seem like a crazy, uncooperative little bitch, I was just like, okay. And I got really teary-eyed and I stood waiting for Alyssa and Christy to get over there and cried a little. But then we were gonna wait out in the back of the Barnes & Noble to try and meet them. We go and we're waiting, and we're waiting with probably 10 other people. So there's not a lot of people at all. Actually, it's a very manageable amount of people to go up and talk to. This was like my last hope because, again, stupid. The girls that are around us seem pretty chill and like mature, and we're like, yeah, that's great. And then Dan and Phil come out. They come out a little while later, I want to say maybe an hour later, and it's cold outside, but if you watch that One Direction video, you know what I'm gonna say. People busted out of cars, out of other little hidey holes, out of the fucking wall, and just tripled the size of our little 13 people group. Like, we were very small, we were manageable. I'm sure that if we all stayed calm and we were just like, hey, can you come over? They probably would have been like, yeah, let's just stop for a little bit. No. Now what was a manageable group turned into at least 30 people. And it was just like, are you kidding me? I just wanted the sidewalk to rip open and bring me to the center of the earth, because it was just horrifying to be in like this group of people who were screaming, by the way, who were just straight up screaming for Dan and Phil, and it was a huge crowd, and it was just like, this was supposed to be it. damn it. And that was when they got into their car, Dan and Phil, and left. They just waved and left, and I don't blame them. So after this whole ordeal and they leave, Alyssa, Christy, and I are walking back to Christy's car, and I cry again. I leave with only a signed copy of The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire. It's signed right here. This was where my letter was. If I don't have a picture, and I ruined the time that I met them. Like an asshole. From then on, I tried to get the VIP at Tatanov, their tour, and that didn't work out. And now I'm going to Vidcon this year. Fingers crossed that there's some kind of miracle. But yeah, that was the time that I met Dan and Phil and made an ass out of myself. But this is the thing that I kind of want to bring as an entire little moral at the end of the story. Your life is how you make it. Yes, sometimes you need help from other people, and you should accept that help. You should be able to reach out and get help from other people if you really need it. But you also need to do things for yourself. You also need to put forth the energy and the work in order to do things that you want to do. I should have moved spaces. I would have had more time to relax and more time to situate my bag stuff and all of my junk that I was holding onto and just kind of snap back into it and situate myself. That could have very well been a possibility. I could have told the woman and clarified to her, it's okay, you can grab my phone, it's in my bag. I could have told the security woman, no, like those are my friends, please just let me go back there. I will be like really quick. I should have, you know, probably begged her a little bit more. I could have done a lot of different things, and I didn't, and it fucked shit up. I know that people who have anxiety and who have those kind of paranoid mental illnesses, it's a different situation, but trying to move past fear and anxiety in the best way you possibly can in order for you to have the best possible life is what's important. You need to do, as Dan Howell would say, to do everything that you possibly can to make yourself happy. That's paraphrased. Do whatever you have to be happy. It's important for you to do that and to put in the effort, because otherwise when you don't do anything, it's either not gonna happen or other things can occur. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please do give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see some more videos from me, then please do hit subscribe. I post during the weekend, so you can look out for videos during the weekend. Sometimes Monday if I'm really late. But yeah, thank you again so much for watching. Do what makes you happy, and until next time.